Hello to all you Maze Mad men and women out there. I want to tell you about a great opportunity. I recently partnered with Mint Mobile and set up my own Mint Mobile account, and it made me think, why do I pay so much for cell phone service? What are you paying for really? Speed, coverage, data, access to 5G, unlimited talk and text, mobile hotspots? Well, Mint Mobile offers all of these things for as low as $15 a month. I did not stutter. $15 a month. They have reimagined the wireless shopping experience, made it easy and online. No stores, no salespeople, just huge direct-to-use savings. Mint Mobile runs on the nation's largest 5G network. Go to my link, trymintmobile.com/mazemadman, also linked in the description in this video, to get premium wireless for $15 a month. I made the switch myself. I know you can. I've been running this thing through all the paces, all the things that I would usually do on my much, much higher phone service, and Mint Mobile stands up to any of them. Again, use the code in my description, trymintmobile.com/mazemadman, and stay angry, my friend. It's kind of lengthy. I might have to cut that down. Anyway, Maze Blue and Gold Show episode. I don't know what episode it's on, and we're probably past the 30s.
Yeah, for sure.
Ryan, it's been a minute. How's it going, sir?
It has been a while. Michigan won a natty, so that was a nightmare in itself. The Chiefs have now won back-to-back Super Bowls.
Oh man, as a Raiders fan, that's rough.
As a Broncos fan, it's even rougher, man, because we just beat them.
I don't know. We just beat them. We just punished them actually at the end of the season, and they won that Super Bowl in our building. It was pretty rough.
Hey, you know what? What's crazy is they won back-to-back Super Bowls in your building,
right?
And had John Elway hand them the Super Bowl trophy.
Disgusting. It's disgusting.
It's gross. It's
let's get to what we came here for. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is goated. We'll probably get a chance to talk about that at some point down the line. Anyway, Jim Harbaugh, Michigan's national championship winning coach, obviously this offseason decided to depart, head to greener pastures. Maybe not. And what I'm calling Michigan West, the Los Angeles Chargers. I say that because he took damn near all of Michigan's staff with him. Jim Harbaugh has taken everyone's coaches because it didn't stop there. He even pillaged Notre Dame. Ryan, how are you feeling?
So he took our safeties coach, Chris O'Leary, which our fan base last year wanted gone, along with Al Washington, because they weren't recruiting, so to speak, at where everyone else was at the time. Chris O'Leary hadn't had a top 100 safety recruit that he's got committed besides Kyle Hamilton. Mm-hmm. And so that safety recruiting was a big, struggle for him. And then he finally got two of those guys in this year's class, 2025 and 2024. So he started to pick it up, but he's a really good safeties coach. He turned Xavier Watts into a receiver, into a Bronco Nagurski winning safety. That goes to the best defender in college football. So it was a huge loss for Notre Dame.
Right.
And we have a guy right now in class of 2025, top 90 recruit, Ivan Taylor, who's the son of Ike Taylor, former Pittsburgh Steeler. He's kind of on the fence right now because he was committed to Notre Dame because of O'Leary. We'll see where that goes. But getting back to O'Leary, I mean, like I said, it's a big loss, but he did well deserved. It looks like Mike Mickens. Notre Dame's not going to go hire a safeties coach. It looks like it's too late, in the cycle and the coaching rounds for that right now.
Right.
So the news out of South Bend is that Mike Mickens is going to, one, get a pay raise, a significant one at that, and will be coaching both the corners and the safeties going forward.
Absolutely. By the way, we got 3 people in here. Make sure you like and share this. Be sure to subscribe to week 0. We can use all the subscribers we can get. We appreciate each and every one of you. Drop a comment. Let us know you're in here. Let us know what you think about all this or any of this coaching matter or anything we're talking about tonight. Yeah, man. So I was kind of shocked when I saw George O'Leary leaving Notre Dame for the Los Angeles Chargers. Obviously, a little less shocked with the Michigan coaches, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of those guys had, NFL aspirations or came from the NFL. Jesse Minter has NFL background, obviously, and the coach before him, Mike McDonald, the same. They both came from that Ravens coaching tree. And we knew that they kind of wanted to get back to the NFL in terms of the Michigan side. So that was to be expected somewhat. Mike Elston, that kind of hurt us. Obviously, he's a excellent, as you know, because we got him from Notre Dame. Excellent defensive line coach, number 1, and he's a pretty good defensive line recruiter as well. He's a very good defensive line recruiter. So that one hurt. And then I think what hurt even more than that was the Steve Klingscale situation.
Yeah.
Steve Klingscale is an excellent developer of talent at defensive back. And in addition to that, it was how it happened, right? Like it was rumors that he was leaving. And then he comes and speaks to the team and tells them, hey, I'm not going anywhere. And then the very next day he comes back and is like, hey, I'm going somewhere. So, the way that took place kind of sucked. And we've already seen, the effect on the recruiting as 4-star linebacker in the 2024 class, Jaden Smith, has already asked for the release of from his national letter of intent. And we got to chalk that up to all the defensive losses, the defensive coaching staff. The entire defensive coaching staff is gone, right? The safeties coach, Jay Harbaugh, gone. Defensive or cornerbacks and defensive backs coach, Steve Klingscale, gone. Co-defensive coordinator, by the way, Steve Klingscale, gone. Mike Elston, defensive line coach, gone. Ben Herbert, the strength and conditioning. Why did he take the strength and conditioning coach to the NFL? I mean, whatever. He's gone. And then, defensive coordinator Jesse Minter, of course, gone. We've replaced defensive coordinator. We got Wink Martindale, another coach from the NFL, ranks a little older. That's the only thing that kind of gives me some pause, right? Like, is he going to have like the motivation to get out on the recruiting trail? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even if he does have the motivation, can he connect with like these younger players? Can he connect with high school kids? So that's one thing to think about. But I do think, it'll be all good. We are hiring, if by the time of this video, I don't know, defensive line coach from Wisconsin, Greg Scruggs. We are in contact with Tennessee linebacker coach Brian Jean-Marie. So, it's looking positive going forward. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the Jesse Minter stuff, obviously Harbaugh was kind of expected. I think once Harbaugh left, everyone just, and you specifically, I know you talked about Minter's most likely gone.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, not being a Michigan fan, but just from like viewing it from the outside, was that the expectation from at least Michigan fans was, yeah, we're going to lose Harbaugh, most likely Minter, probably Jay, but we're going to be able to most likely be able to keep Klingscale. We're going to be able to keep some of these other guys and just kind of keep it rolling. Which kind of want to ask you because, like, from a Michigan fan point, have you guys kind of soured a little bit on not Harbaugh? Because I think Harbaugh, obviously one of you guys are natty and all that, but these, like the Klingscale situation, does that make you feel some type of way about how he left you guys?
Actually, I think there are more people that are soured on Jim than on like these assistants, if I'm being honest. Okay. And it's because, he's, you're supposed to be a Michigan man. You say you love Michigan, and then you like strip Michigan of like all of its coaches. Right now, I also understand that that's not fair either. Right. Like he's trying to build a staff himself. And in the case of Steve Klingscale, he wasn't very happy that, Sherrone Moore didn't look harder at him for defensive coordinator. I understand that. and he decided to do what was best for him. I understand, but Mike Elston, that was shocking and hurting, and it
Yeah.
hurt. But nobody's really mad at Mike Elston. Nobody's mad at these assistants. They are trying to like further their careers. Everybody understands that for the most part. I think people are side-eyeing Jim Harbaugh a little bit, not me. And there's a good swath
Yeah.
of us that aren't. We understand. And I was trying to explain yesterday when we were on the live, like, this is kind of the side effect of success, right? Like turnover. Nick Saban had to deal with turnover every year, damn near at Alabama, right? With coordinators leaving almost every year. We got lucky and kept Jesse Minter for 2 years, right? We got lucky, and even though Sharon Moore was getting job offers last year, he decided, hey, I'm gonna come back to Michigan. So in that sense, this was to be expected. But either way, I'm not upset about it. I understand it both ways.
I mean, think about it. The team that you guys beat in the Natty, right? Like they had the whole stuff with Kalen DeVore leaving to basically that entire Washington staff to Alabama.
Right.
And then Alabama kind of has, not to the same extent as Michigan, but they have a max exodus of their coaches. They get these guys. Ryan Grubb is there for like a couple days, and he's like, "All right, I'm going to the NFL."
Right.
See, like I think, like you said, it's just that when you have a program like an Alabama or a Michigan or Clemson, Georgia, whatever that might be, you should expect those guys are that, and they're not going to want to leave that place in college. But if they get a chance to go to the NFL,
yeah,
they're always going to take that chance.
Or if they even get a chance to further their career in college, right? Guys go from linebacker coach, and then somebody offers them to be the DC, or at their school. You have to kind of take those progressions. Depending on the situation, right? Like you wouldn't leave. I don't know if you would leave Notre Dame as the defensive or the linebacker coach to go to, I don't know, Rutgers or not Rutgers. That's a bad UMass to be the DC. I don't know if that's like what you would do. But if you leave Notre Dame as the linebackers coach to go to, I don't know, UCLA as the DC, maybe you consider that. You know what I mean? So there's those types of things. Let's move on from Jim poaching all of everyone's coaches. Let's get to some recruiting news. Notre Dame been recruiting fairly well. As far as Michigan, of course, everything is kind of at a standstill. People are trying to see what's happening with the coaches. We are still making progress with some recruits on the trail, though. What's going on in Notre Dame?
Basically, we are where Michigan was this time last year. Number one recruiting class in the class of 2025. As of right now, we have 14 commitments, which I believe is 3 more than the next highest, which is Georgia, I believe. So it's kind of not really a fair assessment. Like I tell, Dallas fan, our buddy, our good boy Dallas fan, goes on Twitter pumping his chest out. We got the number one class, and I tell him like I told you last year, and I was like, hey, and you know why? Because Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Auburn, these other schools, they wait till like the last second to get all these 5 stars. Yeah. So, like it's all good to see, hey, we got the number one class now, but where's Notre Dame on signing day?
Yeah.
Because that's all that matters. But, we're recruiting really well. We just got a commitment from Elijah Burris, our first receiver commit. He's a 3-star, but he is the son of former Giants and Steelers receiver Plexico Burris.
Yep.
So that was a pretty good pickup. Looks like we're going to get Jerome Bettis Jr., which always kind of felt like we were going to get him. It just was kind of like he wants to experience the recruitment process. But so, yeah, our class is basically, 60-70% done. So, yeah, I mean, we're hitting it, and Marcus Freeman's already working on 2026. So yeah,
I wish I could say the same thing. That is not the case at Michigan. Listen, Michigan had a lot of success over the last 3 years, right? And a lot of people were like, "Hey, why isn't recruiting matching up with the success we're having on the field. Obviously, it's a lot of factors that go into that. NIL being one of them, location being one of them. So plethora of factors. We know that being fans of schools in the Midwest, it is a lot of things that go. By the way, fans of schools with high academic standards, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of high academic standards because we know how the haters will get, right? But that said, it's been more than that for Michigan, right? Because every year Jim Harbaugh has flirted with the NFL, and that's kind of scared recruits off and giving them pause or whatever. And every year, I don't know what this means, by the way. Do you know what this means?
Marcus Freeman era.
Oh. Yo, all right. Shout out to the Irish fans there. Cool. But every year, flirting with the NFL, that is no bueno. And then finally this year, pulling the trigger and deciding to leave. We need to see who Sharon Moore hires, especially on the defensive side, because it becomes more than just recruiting now. Now we need to keep our players. You know what I mean? Like if let's say Will Johnson decided to leave, that would be devastating. That would be detrimental to our aspirations for next season. And it's not just Will Johnson. It could be Mason Graham. It could be Kenneth Grant. Heck, there were rumors that both of them were being contacted by, other schools. So
illegally, mind you.
Right.
Illegally.
But are there rules in place? I don't even know if there are rules in place for it. It's like the Wild West.
Technically, it was Iowa snitched on themselves about contact
about
Proctor,
right? Yeah. So I mean, we know that the other state had already made contact with Judkins and some other players, but I don't even know if the NCAA obviously isn't policing that. So it is what
they're
it is.
They're picking and choosing who they police about it.
Right. Yeah. So there's that. Other than that, though, we lost our highest ranked recruit and Chris Ewald. He decommitted just before I think Jim, pulled the trigger with his coaching decision. He's a 4-star corner out of Florida, very talented. We just lost that 4-star linebacker in the 2024 class. So we're kind of going the wrong way right now. But I do think, once everything is settled and Sharon Moore, who's already promised to be more aggressive in the recruiting efforts, he's already put things in place to prove that he's going to be more aggressive, including hiring a GM type position to oversee recruiting and NIL. So I already believe that recruiting will be much better for Michigan going forward. Liking back to when Jim first got to Michigan and he was having phenomenal recruiting classes. So I do think we're heading in the right direction. We just need to solidify those coaching positions.
Yeah, and that's why I thought Sharon Moore was the best hire for you guys, and I'm glad that Ward Manuel, I know you guys give him a lot of slack, didn't be like, hey, you know what? Let's go get Brian Kelly. Let's go get somebody not in the Oh, right. God, I couldn't imagine how the Michigan fan base would have dealt with that.
Oh, man, it wouldn't have been great.
But, because, Jim Harbaugh, you could obviously right now is better. He's a more proven, better head coach than Sharon Moore.
Yeah.
Just because he's more proven. We've seen what he's done. But I think Sharon Moore is a better recruiter just in his short time he's been at Michigan. And
early on, Jim was great, but I will say later he wasn't so great. So yeah,
I think Sharon Moore, you'll take not because he's not a good coach, but I think you'll take a step back on the field for a couple of years. But I think in that couple of years, once you get through this thick of kids want to know what you do, once you get those hires in, these kids are going to buy into Sharon Moore. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to kind of see, hey, Michigan might go 9-3 this year. Then they'll go 10-2 next year. But you look at their recruiting classes and they'll have 2 top 10 recruiting classes. And then that third year when those classes kind of get in, you kind of got Sharon Moore's team. We'll see what, Sharon Moore has. But I think going forward, this was the best move. And I'm glad you guys didn't try to do what other teams do, which is go get an experienced head coach. I think sometimes hiring within is, is the best way to go.
Absolutely. As we move on, M3 and Ryan's top 25, way too early. This here, what you're looking at here, this is ESPN's graphic, obviously. This is what they have for the top 25, Ryan. What do you like? What do you dislike about ESPN's top 25?
I'm as big of a Notre Dame fan as ever, and I say a lot of outlandish stuff. Phil can vouch for that. But Notre Dame at 5 is too distasteful for me. I think if you want to put him 7 or 8, it's fine with me. That's where I have him, is that 7-8 range.
Mm-hmm.
But I think realistically they should start, 10, 11. That's around where they ended. Just because I think they still have to prove something. They haven't proven anything
Right.
the first 2 years. I mean, Michigan not being in the top 10.
Disrespectful
Because they just won the national championship.
It's disrespectful.
I could okay, hey, if Michigan would have lost to Washington, maybe I could understand it because they did that to TCU, but TCU also got blasted in the national championship game.
Yeah, they did.
But yeah, Michigan should be in the top 10. I don't know why Utah is in there. I don't understand what we're doing.
They did bring back
Cam Rising.
Cam Rising's coming back.
His
I think that's why
year
they're
of college
top 10.
football.
I know. Insane.
Somebody get this man a retirement check. But anyway, I other than that, I like the top 10. I think I would still have Oregon ahead of Ohio State, but yeah, I mean Arizona.
Do you think Oregon is better than Ohio State?
I do. I think Oregon. I told Lucas this. I think Oregon and Ohio State split. I don't care when it is. I think one of them will win in the regular season, and I think that's the Big Ten title. And I think one of them wins. So I think they're both.
I just don't know, man. I just don't know. Look, to this point, and no disrespect, respectfully, but disrespectfully, Dan Lanning lost twice to Washington. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Lanning hasn't really won a big game. Now he's very early in his coaching career, so I want to be respectful to that. In his head coaching career, I need to be respectful to that. And I'm not gonna say he's James Franklin, but he's certainly on the fast track to being James Franklin until he gets some wins. And that being said, Ryan Day, the professional third baseman that he is, has really only lost to Michigan in his entire head coaching career. I mean, we know he lost the playoff game to Georgia. I don't think he's lost to another Big Ten team, right?
Michigan and Georgia, I believe.
Michigan and Georgia is who beat him. Clemson, I think, right? Maybe not.
Yeah, Clemson,
Alabama.
Alabama.
One of those. Yeah. So that's it. And I'm not sure if I can sit here and, as the hater of the other state that I am, but believe me, I dislike them a lot. Dislike isn't even the word. Hate is appropriate. I'm not sure that I can say Oregon is better than them. They did just kill it in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
They are killing it on the recruiting trail. The same can be said for Oregon, who is also killing it on the recruiting trail. They did get some big transfers as well. But Oregon played in the Pac-12 last year, and no disrespect, again, because I thought the Pac-12 was the best league last year in terms of competition, but it is the Pac-12. It's not like they were playing the world's best defense. But let me know your thoughts.
I thought Oregon had maybe the second most talented team in the country last year. And I know that's, I think Georgia, Oregon, and Michigan were like on a different level than everybody else last year in terms of top to bottom talent. I think the reason why Oregon didn't make the CFP, again, was they had to face Washington twice, and I think the inexperience of Dan Lanning really caught up to them that game. They lost to Washington twice, right?
Yeah.
But if you ask most people if those teams were to play again, who would be favored? I feel like most people would say, "Oh, I'd give me Oregon," because I think you can see that Oregon had more talent.
I think after 2 losses, I think that changes a little bit. After the first loss, I completely agree with you. After the first loss, I do think people thought Oregon was the better team. And a lot of people, most people even, would have said, "Give me Oregon to win the next time."
Well, Oregon was favored by 10.
Exactly. I recall that. Because, by the way, Washington hadn't been
playing very
super
good
dominant coming into that game. But after the second loss to Washington, and it's not hard to beat a team twice in a season, right? I was like, okay, Washington's better. I don't, whatever. In these big moments, they're coming through.
I do think this year's Oregon team is better than last year's.
I think. With that.
I mean, that receiving core. Talk about Ohio State. They have Ibuka, but Ohio State fans, we got a really elite receiving core. Okay, besides Ibuka, right?
Well, I think Carnell Tate showed some.
Yeah, Carnell Tate, but I'm saying who on that receiving core has shown enough to be like, okay, well, he's gonna just fill right in for Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously, they're not going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., but
right.
Like if Ohio State were to, because they already spent 13 plus mil to retain or add players to this team, creating a super team just to beat Michigan. If they would have brought back Marvin Harrison Jr., Ohio State's winning the Big Ten, no doubt. But I think, you've got Trayshawn Holden, you've got Gary Bryant Jr., you've got I'm blanking on their best Tez Johnson.
Right.
Yeah. I think Oregon is they're going to be so talented. I think the thing that will keep Oregon out of the Big Ten title if they don't make it or if they lose to Ohio State is Dan Lanning.
Okay. By the way, 4 people, be sure to like and share the live. We appreciate it. We greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already, head on over and subscribe to the channel. That would be even more appreciated. Thank you for that. Okay, what do you think about? By the way, let me start off by saying this: the Michigan ranking is disrespectful. Michigan outside of the top 10 is wildly crazy. I understand we're going through a coaching change. I get that. I understand the starting quarterback, the best, in the running back, the 2 offensive linemen, or actually the entire offensive line, damn near the entire starting offensive line, gone. Get it. But the offensive line, that's just a revolving door, and we got guys ready to go. By the way, we got some starters from the offensive line back too. Quarterback is the biggest question at Michigan right now. I can say that openly. We did bring back the Don. We do have a good stable of running backs ready to go. So that's the only part that because defensively we brought back everybody. Everybody came back defensively except for Junior Colson. So we're ready to go in terms of the defense. And Chris Jenkins is gone, but Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant are better. Go ahead.
What is your receiving room looking like? I know Wilson's gone. Is Johnson back or is he gone?
He's also gone. So we will be starting 2 brand new receivers that have not started. We also lost in the transfer portal, of course, Amorian Walker, which hurt, and also his name escapes me right now, but he was a 4-star wide receiver. He's gone. He went to Oregon State of all places, but I digress. That's just disrespectful too. It's also disrespectful. But we do have Samaj Morgan, who showed that he has superstar talent. We've got Tyler Morris, very talented as well. So, we'll be okay at receiver, I think. But at tight end, we have superstar Colston Loveland, I think the best tight end in college football this season. and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so I do think we'll be okay.
Do you think, because like obviously you got the spring portal that opens
Right.
back up in March,
Yes.
and there will be a lot more kids in there. Do you think Michigan takes a look and see, hey, maybe if there's a quarterback that, good one that kind of enters without, kind of under the radar, maybe a receiver just for, experience. You think, or do you guys think you're done dipping in the portal for right now?
Um, yeah, no, I do think we take a look at quarterback. I think we have to take a look at quarterback, if I'm being honest. No disrespect to the guys we have on the roster. Denegal, Orgy, Tuttle, I think he's back. And of course, freshman Jaden Davis, but none of those guys have proven anything. And if there's a proven quarterback in the portal, we got to take a look. That's just my take. Dallas fan says Michigan has nothing to run through their schedule. You had issues with the entire 2023 team back. I don't think we had an issue at all last year.
The only issue you had was with Maryland.
Right. Maryland, of all the teams Michigan played last year, playoffs included, Maryland was the stiffest competition. Let that
poor little 6-6 Maryland.
Yeah. Now, granted, I do think Maryland was the quintessential. I said this before, quintessential trap game in between Penn State and the other state. They played their hearts out. They played with everything they had.
And we know how we've seen this movie before. Maryland, anytime they play Ohio State or Michigan, they play them close. Sometimes they have a lead in the fourth quarter.
Right.
But what always happens?
By the way, Michigan never trailed last season until I believe that Alabama game. First time Michigan trailed all season. 2024 schedule with the 2023 team all back. Oh, Michigan's schedule is tough. Let me say that. I will say that. We start off like week 2, Texas comes to the big house. But I think we got a lot of games at home. We got some good ones at home. We got Oregon at home. We've got Texas at home. Little bro Nim has to come to the big house. We are on the road this year in Columbus, but we've exercised demons there too. That's a house of horrors for them when Michigan comes. By the way, the other state has a problem beating teams with block M's. Let me just go ahead.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, if Ohio State loses to Michigan without Harbaugh,
oh my God! Well, they already did that, but
no, I'm saying like without like Harbaugh at all anywhere in this team, without JJ McCarthy, without Blake Corum, like, and you lose to Michigan, like this is, if you're gonna beat Michigan, this would be the year to do it, right? If you're Ryan Day, like. Yeah. If you can't do that,
he's got to do it. He better do it.
If it happens, you might as well just stop calling it a rivalry and just be like, "Are you guys taking this seriously?
Are you guys taking this seriously?" But we're gonna show up in Columbus, do what we need to do. The problem is, here's why I think Michigan beats Ohio State this year. They didn't address the issue that Michigan has been taken advantage of. They got a bunch of skill position players. They do that every year. They're great at wide receiver. They're deep at running back, great at running back. They went and got Will Howard. Great. All of those things are wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. But in the trenches is where you're gonna get beat. Now they did get the transfer.
Ultra soft.
Exactly. They got the transfer from Alabama. I forget my guy's name, the center who might have been the reason Alabama lost the Rose Bowl.
That's hilarious that they picked
and him Ohio State got him, and they're propping him up to be, some world beater. But whatever. Exactly. Ohio State has not gotten better than last year. Yeah, I mean.
And I don't think Will Howard is that much of an upgrade over Kyle McCord. I mean.
Kyle McCord might be better than Will Howard.
Yeah, and what's crazy is what Ohio State fans are propping Will Howard up to be this Heisman caliber quarterback, and
right,
he's got all these weapons, and I tell him, I'm like, hey, you realize that Will Howard got pushed out of Kansas State, right? Like, you realize he got pushed out for a freshman quarterback that hasn't even turned 19 years old yet. Actually, he might have turned 19 within the last month or so.
Right.
But still, Kansas State pushed you out.
Yeah, that's not a great look. It's not a great look. Yeah, man. So at the back end of that top 25, I think you rounded it out with teams like Kentucky made the top 25, NC State, right? These teams, I even think Kansas State is like ranked 20, I believe.
Kansas, the Jayhawks.
Kansas, yeah. So, what did you think about the back end of the rankings? Do you agree with them?
Yeah, I do. I think one team I would have liked to see in there is Wisconsin.
Whiskey, I'm not sure. I told you guys last year about Whiskey.
Not. I don't think they should have been any higher than 25, but I think that 25 slot would have been perfect. I think Wisconsin they're my sleeper in the Big Ten.
Right.
I think, kind of spoiler, I think they take down Alabama in week 2. That's a night game in Wisconsin. I think they take that, which I know people go, oh, well, this isn't the same old Alabama you're used to. I think there's going to be a few hitches for Alabama this season. And then Kansas I like because I think Kansas, they're my Big 12. I think they're going to win the Big 12. If this keyword, if, because this hasn't been the case the last 2 years. If Jalen Daniels can stay healthy for an entire season, Kansas could win the Big 12.
This is a wild take right here.
No. Don't get me
started. Colorado in the top 25. Listen, I've been defending Dion, and you can ask Ryan, right? Defending Shedeur Sanders. They are not top 25 team.
You see the odds for the Big 12 that they've got like the third best odds to win the Big 12.
Well, I do think the Big 12 is not great either, but top 25 for Colorado. I think they're a couple years away, and that's if Dion stays. Because let Florida State have a bad season this year, they are itching to fire Norvell, and they shouldn't. But if it happens, they will fire Norvell, and Dion will be in Tallahassee pronto.
But I do think I know that's kind of laughable, but hey, Kansas is undefeated. Jalen Daniels has not lost a game when he has started.
That's fair. That's fair.
We're not going to count
Deion Sanders will never coach FSU. All right. If that job opens up, I promise Deion Sanders will be there. I promise you. All right.
Florida State went 13-0, right?
Right. Yeah.
Didn't make the college football playoff, and immediately they wanted Norvell fired to bring in Deion. Yeah. Like Deion would have magically got them in the playoff.
Well, I do think if Deion Sanders was the coach of that 13-0 team, they made the playoff.
Even with the Makers,
because of we saw. Now this is what I can't argue against Deion Sanders and his effect. Colorado had 2 of the top 10 most watched games last season. If Deion is at Florida State, oh my God, they definitely would have made that playoff because the dollar signs and Deion Sanders talking about Deion Sanders in the college football playoff.
They would have got killed.
They probably would. They definitely would have got killed because they had no quarterback. They would have got destroyed, but they would have been in the playoff. I promise you. And if Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt, maybe they're in the playoff. In fact, I would venture to say they are in the playoff.
I think Jordan Travis was like this year's Max Duggan in terms of Max Duggan with TCU. He was so important to that team, and we didn't realize it until they lost him this season, and we saw what that TCU team was without him. And you kind of saw what Florida State was without Jordan Travis. I think that's kind of the same case over there. But Another issue I have on this list is Miami. Why the hell is Miami on this list? They went 5-7, 7-5 in the ACC. Like, I think with Miami and
They're
Texas
they
A&M,
got a lot of talent on that team this year.
I feel like they just want to put Miami and A&M, automatically rank them just because.
Yeah, I have a bigger problem with A&M on this year's list than Miami. I'm gonna be real with you. Obviously my issues with the list are this: Michigan not in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think Texas is ranked too high. They just lost Xavier Worthy. I think they lost the other guy too at receiver. I don't think they're that high. Notre Dame, I'm not even whatever because it's gonna play itself out. We'll see.
They should not be 5.
If Notre Dame is who they say they are. Not even gonna get into that. Utah at number 10, I think, is laughable. Michigan would wipe the floor with Utah with me or you coaching. Just because they lost a lot. They are bringing back Cam Rising, but whatever. Penn State, they'll probably end the season right where they are right now. You know what? I'm just gonna 9 seems about right for Penn State.
10-2 incoming.
Ole Miss also picked up a lot of talent in the transfer portal, but something tells me that's too high for Ole Miss. They just seem to not be able to be.
Ole Miss is the Penn State of the SEC.
They need to be. That's a fact. That's a fact. Missouri, I like Missouri at number 7. Actually, I think Missouri is solid at number 7. They probably won't end the season there though, because they're going to lose to Georgia.
They've actually got one of the easiest schedules in the SEC.
They do. We'll see what happens with them. They got a lot of Big 10 teams on here. I mean, Big 12 teams on here. Too many for my liking, actually. Mm-hmm. And I don't like it. So, but we'll see what happens. I'm not mad at the back end of the list. It's the front end of the list with Michigan at 13 is disrespectful. LSU might be too high.
Yeah.
Arizona is intriguing. Let me say that. Yeah. They are intriguing. Are they the favorites to win the Big 12?
No. Kansas State is. It goes Kansas State, Utah, Colorado, Arizona.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah.
I'm going. That's disrespectful, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think
Notre Dame has no game. They won't be favored in 2020. This might be true. That schedule is pathetic. And all the, you guys always say, "Oh, our schedule every year is."
Hey, you know what? If
that schedule is laughable.
Hey, you know what? Put Texas A. You know what? ESPN, go ahead. AP poll rank Texas A&M.
That's so the only reason they're gonna be ranked, so that Notre Dame can have that win. Because there's no other reason for them to be ranked. Is that the first game?
Yeah, the first week 1.
Yeah, they will be, and they're gonna rank Texas A&M week 1. It's disgusting. They should not.
And they'll probably rank him inside the top 20, just to make that game more intriguing.
They better not rank them in the top 20.
You'll see number 5 Notre Dame versus number 14. Texas
Great,
A&M.
Notre Dame got a year. Yeah, you definitely got a year, bro. Let's be honest. You got a year last year. You just didn't take advantage of it.
That schedule was tougher.
That was not a tough schedule. You lost to the teams you lost to. You lost to Clemson. Now, granted, Clemson rallied down the stretch and they turned their season around. Probably saved Dabo's job. Let's be real.
Death Valley is also a very hard place.
Y'all shouldn't have lost to them. Y'all shouldn't have. You guys were better than Clemson. You lost to Louisville. I cannot get over that. You don't go and lose to Louisville or Louisville. Is it Louisville or Louisville?
It's Louisville.
Louisville. You can't lose to Louisville. All right.
Hey, tell Sam Hartman that. Did you see the Senior Bowl? Dude threw a pick 6 to another Cardinal.
Yeah, well, Sam Hartman. I told you, Sam Hartman didn't have us. You guys were talking, and Dallas fan, you get this work too, because I tried to tell both of you.
Hold up. He gonna get this work. You gonna get this work.
You don't get this work. Look, I told y'all this guy was not who you guys were propping him up in the preseason to be. He didn't have a season in the ACC where he didn't throw double-digit interceptions. And you guys thought that he was going to come to Notre Dame and save you. It's ridiculous. He is who we thought he was.
No, Phil, he's allergic to Cardinals. If he plays a Cardinal, he's gonna play like dog to it. Like
bro,
that's just how it goes.
That man should be the spokesperson for Duluth. He is not a.
You know what's crazy is one of my buddy Sean, he runs the ND Forever. We do the Gold Standard together. Because they had a picture of Sam Hartman at the Senior Bowl, right, doing the whole thing with his hair, and they said, seeing this picture makes me cry every time because I hate him, but he looks too glorious to hate him.
That's hilarious. But yeah, man, he is who I thought he was. He always will be. And you guys found that out firsthand. Look, let's wrap it up.
Yep.
We've been on now for going on 50 minutes. Be sure to follow me everywhere at Maze Madman. Be sure to follow Week 0. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ryan, go ahead.
Yep, go over Week 0 Productions on YouTube. Go over and follow me on X/Twitter at Fravel_Ryan. We'll be live Thursday. Phil, are you going to be joining us?
I'm not.
Thursday? Okay.
Yeah, I won't be on Thursday. When you go back to Tuesdays, I will be
okay.
On Tuesdays.
We'll be live Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. So be on the lookout for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, tomorrow be on the lookout for a new video from me. We're talking Michigan recruiting. Also, try mintmobile.com/Maze Madman. Get you unlimited phone plan for $15 a month. You can't beat it. Until next time, stay angry, my friends.